Hi, this is Troy from Full-Gamut Defense Arts. Thought today I would do a sort of a bio video, basically give a rundown of my background, what I've trained in, who I've trained with. I realized that that's not something I've put out, so why would anyone care what I have to say if they don't even know where I'm coming from? So, that being said, basically, um, I started training when I was 12 years old, so I've got a lot of years under my belt. Um, just a quick rundown of the various arts and styles I've trained with in. I started out in Commissioner Karate. Um, I'll stick with just the main styles. Um, the next style or art that I have the most training in would be Hunyuan Taiji, which, if you're not familiar, it's an offshoot of the Chen style. So basically, those are the two main things I've trained in the longest, 20 plus years for both of them. So as I'm going through, I'll name instructors that I've trained with and other stuff. So I started out at 12 years old with Carl Quigg in Commissioner Karate, and he was a third degree black belt at the time, then was later promoted to fourth degree or Yundan. Unfortunately, he passed away in, I think it was 2013, so obviously I'm no longer training with him. Um, Around that same time, I also, because of Shihandai Quigg, I trained in Shiho Karano Jiu-Jitsu with Clement G. Riedner, Dr. Clement G. Riedner. I also studied many other arts and styles as part of the curriculum. Not, how do I say it? Well, let me back up. Basically, the way our class was treated for karate, it wasn't just go in and learn some katas and do a little sparring and once in a while test. It was not quite like that. Not at all like that. We instead were treated like we were getting a degree, like a college degree in martial arts. So we did, besides just the normal learning katas and doing physical tests, we also took written tests, mostly on terminology and history. But also we were required to write papers and give presentations in class. And those papers were usually on some aspect of the martial arts, specifically karate, or we also had the option and we were encouraged to go out and um, at least briefly train in another art. Didn't matter what art it was, whatever happened to interest us. If we couldn't find a local teacher that we could train with, then we were encouraged to basically read a book and do a book report. So the presentations were generally on what you'd learned, whether it was from a book, a video, or directly from an instructor. But it was always for the benefit of everyone in the school. Anyway, moving on. That's how I ended up training with Dr. Clement G. Riedner in Shiho Karano Jiu-Jitsu, because he came to visit my instructor, and he also held a high enough rank in Commission Ru that he actually is the one that promoted Sensei Quigg to Shihandai Quigg, third degree black belt to fourth degree black belt. After almost 10 years of training with with Shihandai Quig, I ran into someone that recommended I try out Tai Chi, um, specifically due to a knee injury I'd sustained. And there was only one guy in town teaching Tai Chi. His name was Don Sherman. He taught the Chungman Ching 37 form specifically, and I started to train with him. I was not with him very long, just a couple of months really, because for various reasons we didn't get along or see eye to eye. So, on the recommendation of one of his senior students, I continued learning that form from the Terry Dunn Tai Chi for Health video. And that was basically my only Tai Chi training for several years because there was just nobody else in town or anywhere in the area. In '95, I moved to the St. Louis area, and sometime after that, I visited many schools, did some training in Shotokan with Ron Mirikitani, and visited several other Ryukyu Kempo schools, a couple of other Tai Chi schools, but didn't really find a new teacher until, oh, and by the way, I was still training in Commission-Ryu. I just had to train by myself and when I came home to visit. So I didn't give up Commission-Ryu to go to Shotokan or something. In late '98, I was taking classes at the community college, and I needed a PE credit, and I noticed that they had a Tai Chi class. Actually, before that, I noticed they had a Tai Chi class, and I kept signing up for it and wasn't able to get in because it was always full, which I felt was a pretty good sign. Once I finally was able to get in, it was the fall semester in '98. And the person that was teaching that class was Sifu Herb Perrin. He wasn't a Sifu at the time, but he is still my main instructor in the Hunyuan style. Thanks to him and other people I'll mention in a minute, I've been able to travel all over the world training in Hunyuan. I've been to many tournaments and competed and gotten grand championships, and it's all thanks to Sifu Herb. He invited me to his regular class, and of course that's where I went, and that became the main style I trained in. I also have done some limited training with his instructor, Sifu Justin Meehan, also the St. Louis area. Just mainly I was training with Sifu Herb, so it was sort of the occasional thing when classes would get together that I would train with Sifu Justin. Going on up the line, Master Jiang Shuixin of San Francisco would come out to St. Louis twice a year for seminars, and I got to train with him in, I tried to figure it out the other day. I think it was about 20 seminars over the years, maybe more than that, but 20 sounds about right. So those were, if memory serves, 8 hours a day, usually a Saturday and Sunday. So 16 hours of training directly with Master Jiang. And I forgot to mention, if you don't know who he is, Master Jiang Shuixin is the senior U.S. disciple to Grandmaster Feng Zhiqiang. Grandmaster Feng is the founder, was the founder. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2012. He was the founder of the Hunyuan style. There's lots of information about Feng Zhiqiang, so I won't go into his whole history. Also, thanks to the St. Louis school, I was able to go and train with Grandmaster Feng in 2000 in Finland at his workshop. And And I got to see him again in 2007 at the gathering in Beijing. Um, let's see. Other than that, I have formal training in many other arts and styles. Just a lot of it is seminars, or I didn't train for very long. It was sort of visiting or exchanging with other instructors. So I don't know that I could even remember to list everything, but basically the rundown would be I trained in judo with George White, Shihan George White. I trained in Shihokarano Jiu-Jitsu, as well as another Jiu-Jitsu it was more of a generic, not style specific. Let's see, also Aikido with Richard Harnack and a few other people. Shihan Richard Harnack. I've trained in Wuhao Taiji with Jimmy Wong and one of his senior students, Milton Lie. Trained a little bit in Sun style Taiji. Had probably half a dozen seminars in Wing Chun with Buddy Wu and a few other people. Is it Buddy Wu? Yeah, anyway. Choi Le Foot, Hungar, dog style Shaolin, that was interesting. A very brief introduction to monkey style Kung Fu. Had a brief bit of training in Iai Jutsu and Jodo. And in recent years, I've also trained a bit in Filipino martial arts with a local instructor that doesn't teach a particular style. He's trained in several, and he's just sort of done his own thing. But unfortunately, he had to move from the area, so I don't train with him anymore. Otherwise, my experience in FMA has been with the Inean Eskrima style. So I think that's a pretty good rundown. I rambled a bit, but it gives you an idea of my main instructors and the main styles that I've trained in. So I've been with the Hunyuan style now, well, since 98 to 2020. So 22 years, coming up on 22 years. It's March now, so 21 and a half. And in Commission Rue, well, that would be 36 years. So anyway, that's where I'm coming from. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and I will respond as soon as I can. Thank you.